Wouldn't it be awesome to release weight in a healthy, sustainable way, feel great in your body, have tons of energy, and never feel like you're on a diet? If you're a busy woman in midlife, menopause, or beyond, and dealing with a changing body, changing hormones, and a slowing metabolism, and you've been trying to do this on your own for a while, but it just doesn't seem to be happening, at least long term, I have a special invitation for you. Enrollment just opened for my signature 4-week live group coaching program, Menopause Metabolism Makeover. I created this program specifically for women in midlife, menopause, and beyond to help you unlock the code to firing up your metabolism and releasing weight permanently. I want to make this clear. This is not another diet. It's learning how to live a simple, healthy lifestyle in a way you can sustain forever. I've worked with hundreds of women in my 20 plus years in the women's wellness space, and I've listened to what they need and learned what works and what doesn't work. And I promise you, this program is totally different than anything you've tried before. Here's why. First, it's specifically created for your body, your metabolism, and your busy lifestyle. These one size fits all programs are not going to work for you. It's based on the science of how a woman's body works through this stage of life and how to realistically weave it into your schedule and be able to maintain it. Second, it's simple and easy. We don't have time for a whole life overhaul that's too overwhelming with tons of rules. Also, you don't want to feel restricted or deprived or like you're on a diet. So there's nothing extreme here. We're not cutting out whole food groups or eating diet foods. It's a practical, balanced, flexible way of eating. And also, maybe most importantly, you won't have to do it alone. You'll have my personal guidance, support, accountability, and a step-by-step structure. So if you want to finally be free from the pattern of starting and stopping, losing and gaining, check out this amazing transformational program, Menopause Metabolism Makeover, on my website at sarahhaaswellness.com or on the link in the show notes below. I hope to see you there. Welcome, beautiful soul. You're listening to the Boss Body Podcast, where we empower busy women in midlife, menopause, and beyond with the tools they need to release weight, physical, mental, and emotional, to create the vibrant, healthy life they deserve. If you're successful in so many areas of your life, but you struggle to give yourself the same love and care you offer everyone else, you've found your community. I'm your host, Sarah Haas, women's weight release and body love coach, and I'm here to help you age radiantly, feel good in your body, and live a joyful, energized life now and for decades to come. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Body Podcast. I'm Sarah Haas. I am so glad you're here with me today because my guest is someone that I've been wanting to have on this podcast for a long time. And I'm so excited that she's made the time to be here today. I have Linda Joy with me today, and she's a mindset elevation coach. But not just that, she is my personal mentor. I've been working with her over the past 3 or so years. She is an amazing woman. She has an incredible story, and she has greatly impacted my life. And I brought her on because I want her to talk about her journey. And well, we'll get to that in a minute. She has some amazing stuff to share. Let me tell you a little bit about her. First of all, she is the publisher of Aspire magazine. She has also, over the past 2 decades, she's held private circles, workshops, and transformational women's events. And not only that, she's the creator of Inspired Living University, which is an online community and curriculum for women that supports them to dive deeper into their transformational journey. And that's what I wanted her to come on today to talk about is her own personal journey. So, Linda, I'm so excited to have you and thank you so much for being here.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, my friend. You know, I love the work you're doing in the world. And I think this is such an important topic. And of course, that's why I said yes, right? It's all about finding time for ourselves in the busyness of life. Whether you're an entrepreneur like me or not, or just a busy woman, we can forget to take care of ourselves. So I'm excited to talk about the mindset strategies about that, my own personal shift of learning to fully take care of myself. And
Yeah.
wherever else this conversation goes.
Awesome. Yes. So, as I alluded to, you're a pretty busy woman. You're an entrepreneur. You manage several different brands. You have a lot of irons in the fire, but not just in business, but also in your life. You are a wife, you're a mother, you're a grandmother. And I know a lot of us can relate to juggling all these things and the stress that comes with it and how it can be overwhelming. But you have just done such a beautiful job of bringing all that together. And not only that, but magnifying that message out to other women in the world. So I would love for you to just share a little bit about your personal journey and where you came from versus now where you are.
Well, that's a hell of a journey. So I'll just encapsulate it a little. You know, there was a time in my life, I was a welfare mom, high school dropout, runaway, queen of self-sabotage, and I didn't know how to nurture myself in any area of my life. I, from my wounds, was going 100 miles an hour, trying to chase, strive, prove myself, thinking that my worth was out there by my accomplishments. And, you know, I got off welfare in 89 and opened a business in 1992 with no experience. And I'd like to say I was in balance and had learned my lessons, but I didn't. I was working 14-hour days, pushing, chasing, striving in that business. And that's when a lot of health issues came up, mini stroke at 40. And I'm like, I'm 62 now for reference. All these signs and my body was giving me, but I still wasn't listening. I went deep into emotional and spiritual healing, thinking, okay, those are the two most important aspects, right? And my poor body would get dragged along for for the journey, but I wasn't truly connected with it. And the reason I'm talking about success as well as my journey with my body is for me, they were like this. I see that my chasing, striving, pushing was just another way that I was disconnected from my body, from the truth of who I am, from my worth. And that dark night of the soul with a TIA at 40 years old and them, trying to figure out what it was. I remember just laying on the couch for 3 months. I wasn't allowed to do much else. And hearing, if you don't listen now, you never will to your body. And listen, it hasn't been an easy journey for me. Healing my relationship with my physical body and its needs, I'm still working on. And I'll share the before and after when Sarah and I continue. My emotional, spiritual health was number one. So, everyone that knows me knows I'm very intuitive, etc. But a big key moment for me is when I discovered that I wanted, desired, deserved more spaciousness in my life, that I wanted to let go of the mindset that said my worth is out there based on how much I make, what kind of awards I win. And yes, I won lots of awards, but I never even embodied them. I was going, next, next. I couldn't even enjoy those little moments. That's a woman out of balance. That was Linda out of balance. And I have committed, especially, see, the last 10 years of reconnecting with my body. And then about 3 years ago, this amazing goddess came into my life. And I started working with Miss Sarah here. And it has been such a beautiful journey to realizing I need to nourish my physical body. And I get emotional about this because I talk to so many women as much as I nourish my emotional and spiritual health. I was flipped. For someone listening right now, maybe you nurture your physical body, but don't nurture your mindset. Don't nurture your spiritual side. We all have our little struggle. And my work with Sarah has really changed that. Many of you see me in her programs and in her groups. Um, I want that for all women. And the other thing I want to talk about is that mindset of we deserve the spaciousness. We are not our labels. And when Sarah asked me to come on and say, Lynn, can you talk about you are my prime client? And I go, why? And she said, because you're as busy as anyone I know, and you are still nurturing, loving, taking care of yourself, nurturing a global community, plus your clients, and you have so much time off. And when she repeated that to me, I'm like, girl, you remember the commercial? You've come a long way, baby. That's what it feels like. And I want that for every woman to remember her worth. Remember that when you nourish your body, mind, and spirit, you have so much more to give. And then you become in alignment with what you desire. And so I'm grateful to be here to have this conversation because, ladies, if you're busy, I get you. And if you don't take time to nourish your body, I like to say, and it's an old saying, where will your soul live? And that's what keeps me on this path with Sarah is I got to nourish this physical vessel so that my emotions and spirit have a home. So
Yeah.
I think it's so important that so many of us are at the end of our long to-do list, and I get it. That was me. And now, most of the time, I'm not perfect because sometimes I get on big projects. I have to have my time to have that breakfast that I used to skip for decades, to go for the walk, to spend time in my goddessness just being. That has been such a blessing. And I got to say, allows me to serve the way I serve. If I wasn't nourishing me, I wouldn't have any light to share with anyone else. Have you found that too, Sarah?
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, you know my story of going through breast cancer and just the incredible gifts that that gave me. And I've talked about this on the podcast quite a bit, realizing that if you don't have your health, you don't have anything else. And I know that so many of us can relate to having wounds from whatever early in life, things we've gone through, traumas we've experienced, whatever. And then life is a process of trying to heal those wounds. And the first thing most of us tend to go to is the outward validation. We don't feel good enough. We feel less than. And so we strive to prove to ourselves and to the world that we're worthy, that we're valuable, that we can be successful. And a lot of us channel that into either our work or being a mom or whatever we take on. We try to make it bigger and better. And it becomes this hamster wheel, and then you reach certain milestones. And like you said, you don't acknowledge it. You're just like, oh, okay, well, big deal. Now I've the bar's higher. I got to get to this, next thing. So we never get there. We're never at peace. We never actually heal what was going on inside us. And I love that you were able to make that mental shift to say, okay, wait a minute. I have to pause and go within. I've got to heal myself inside. And you took on all kinds of spiritual learning and betterment and just learning how to lift yourself up. And then that started projecting the your business to how you teach women to nurture themselves. But like you said, there was still that one piece missing,
And I
the
had to face
physical.
that. I had to face that. Um, my honey, I've been with Dana for 30 years, and he would see my patterns come back. And just so everyone's aware of my patterns, we all have it. Some people overeat, some people undereat. I was an undereater. So it'd be like, I'm too busy. And I would just drink water all day. It was an old pattern that when I was in a creative mode in my business, could easily slip back in. And when I started, right, even before I started working with Sarah, we'd hold these conversations. And I, it was so normal to me not to eat. I'm like, if I ate one meal a day, maybe 600 calories for decades. And then I said, oh, but I feel great. Well, as I got older, my energy started to wane. So Sarah and I were talking one day, and I said, I know I had anorexia in my younger years. I was under 100 pounds for 30 years. And I remember saying, I think there's an old story way underneath, not up here. It's never something I said to myself of, I don't have time to eat, or I don't want to eat. That's the one. It isn't like I ever said I don't want to eat, but I think way down deep, past, the deep wounds were, I don't have to make time to eat. So really, I wasn't nourishing my body. And then when I said yes to Sarah, I go, you know what? I have overcome being on welfare, domestic violence, everything you can think of, I have lived through. And I go, this damn thing is not going to be the one thing that I do not rise above, which is my relationship with food, with nourishing my physical body. And the most amazing thing, and we could talk about that later, is I started following, Sarah's guidance in her program. And guess what? I was eating so much. My energy was back. And all those fears of, if I eat, this will happen. There was a deep wound healed for me to say that nourishing can be sacred. It can be a ritual. It can be a spiritual experience. And that's what I had to make it for myself. Like making that small breakfast is now a spiritual nurturing experience. And once I got that connection with Sarah's help, it shifted everything. And, I'm pretty vocal about our work together. So I'm sure many of your listeners have seen my posts, etc. But it's been life changing. Now, I want to say to every woman out there, listen, it's not about perfection. I am not perfect. Do I still have days that I go, "Oh, I skipped breakfast?" But in the past, I'd beat myself up, continue the same pattern. Now I just go, give yourself grace. Here's your lunch. Instead of, I recalibrate in the moment. So it isn't about perfection, ladies. It's about honoring yourself. And so the funny part is, Sarah, for what, almost 30 years, because I've been an entrepreneur since I opened that business, 33 years. It's always been about empowering other women to see their worth, their value. And I can say I saw that in me all these years. I did my inner work so I could mirror it and hold space for others. But there was that one thing. And I'm so grateful that you came into my life to help me heal that residual layer, because I have some big things coming for women in the next year or two. And I want to be at my full energy, my full vitality, my full frequency. And I'm excited. I'm excited. And just to have Dana mirror it back of seeing the shifts and changes in my relationship with food, as well as that physical nourishment. And even, ladies, even movement for me was off the table. So when I say I was emotional, spiritual, 100% in, my physical, nurturing my body with food and movement, was not there for many years. And I'm sure many of you can relate. You're not alone. I just want you to know that. And it is possible to shift it. I've done it. And I'm just grateful. My doctor's very happy with Sarah too. I was there
Yes.
yesterday, so it's so funny.
So going back to your past with your disordered eating and those kinds of things, a lot of the women listening have had different experiences, some under eating, some overeating. And the thing is, it's all relatable back. It's the same issue, just manifesting in a different way. Most of the women who come to me struggle with the overeating, the emotional eating, the eating to fill themselves up or to comfort themselves, make themselves feel better. But the deeper core issue is the same. It's not nurturing yourself and not caring for yourself. And that's what you were experiencing because of we all have to survive, right? We all have to survive life, our early years, our teen years, especially, and then beyond. And we do that in different ways. Some people undereat, some people overeat, some people shop, some people drink. There are all kinds of ways that we try to make ourselves feel better. And that was a really big revelation for you when you started doing that inner work. And it's a journey. We do the inner work and then we keep putting one step in front of the other. And that's what brought you to the next step, which was, wait, I'm not honoring my body. Like I'm honoring my soul, my spirit, but this piece still, I'm still disconnected from this piece. And I think a lot of women can relate to that.
Yeah, and I think one of the parts as you were speaking for me was I didn't take time. I love that word nourish because your body needs nourishment. It doesn't just need the junk. But my pattern was, even though most of the time I just wouldn't eat, when I did, instead of creating something that would nourish my body, what did I do, ladies? And I know you can relate to this. I go grab two pieces of my favorite bread and slather it with butter. So I was carbs, sugar, which I know now was just because my body was screaming for energy. But I didn't, the nourishment part is the sacred experience of creating a meal that nourishes my cells. And that was the struggle to change the pattern of plan my meals so I can be prepared, so I wouldn't be up in the old pattern of I don't have time to make something. I had to break the pattern by preparing things. And it was the first Break Up with Sugar challenge that I went to of yours 2 or 3 years ago, that when you did the reset and all the things, I'm like, oh my goodness, I am a carb sugar freak because my body was screaming for nutrients and I was giving it these empty calories, which was all just part of my pattern. And ladies, listen, I chose to come on here and really talk about this with a complete vulnerability and open heart because you're not alone. Even though our stories may be different, our food struggles may be different, our relationship with our body may be different. I know many of you can relate, and that was important to me. I'm a mom of a 40-year-old and a 13-year-old granddaughter, and I am so grateful, so grateful that my daughter did not pick up my issues, I guess you can say. And she's such a role model for nutritious food and organic food from the moment our granddaughter was born, who, as I think I said, is 13 now. That was important to me that this didn't get passed down, right? We want the next generation to be loved, nurtured, supported, and that means we got to do our work too. So I'm grateful for Sarah for opening this conversation up because I'm all about reminding women of the truth of who they are, not who they think they are or need to be or should be. You're magic.
That's a great point that you make about your daughter, because even if you don't have a daughter, we are role models. We look to each other for an example. And in our society, busyness is revered. Outward success is applauded. Winning awards, making money, climbing the ladder, whatever that is. But the focus thankfully, and what I'm trying to do is shifting to wait. We need to be in balance. We need all of these things. Yes, we want to be successful. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with wanting to love your work and put your gifts out into the world and be successful at it, but not neglecting other sides of us in order to do that gives other women permission, because we have that guilt. We have that, oh, if I take time for myself, I'm taking it away from my kids, my family, my work. And then that becomes last on the list because we put everybody else first. And then that's how we get into the situations that we're in as far as being disconnected from our bodies and having such an imbalanced way of eating. So I love that you made that point that you were a role model to your daughter, you are now to your granddaughter, and not just that, to all the women who you serve in your business and women that you know, it just in life.
Yeah, it's so important to me because even when I got off welfare and started doing motivational speaking back then, I always believed and still do that our journey, when shared with authenticity, vulnerability, and boundaries, um, can really help support another woman to see the truth of who they are. So all of my brands, from the magazine to the books I publish to my radio show, everything I do, the big events I produce, really, if I go down to the core of what my core message is, whether they're entrepreneurs or women on the path of self-discovery, is to remind women to live from the inside out, not the outside in. And that's just bringing it down to like a little nutshell. I'm all about feminine wisdom, personal empowerment, and more, and really giving ourselves grace. I used to beat myself up for years. That's why with my clients, with my communities, I'm like, girl, give yourself grace. I used to be so hard on myself. And the more I loved myself from the inside out and defined my own vision for success in every area of my life completely shifted. If you thought this welfare mom runaway, my family called me the queen of self-sabotage. That was my actual label for 30 years. And I share that now, not because it is my label, because those were just experiences I had. Then they were never the truth of who I am. I didn't know that in my young years. I owned those labels, like I'll never amount to anything, right? Because I wore those labels that others gave me until the day I said, those are experiences, they're not my truth. But if you asked me in 1989, when I was sitting in that class after getting off welfare, if I would own 5 media brands, an event company, be able to serve women around the world, no. But it comes from doing the inner work to nurture every part of myself. And I wanted to hit my 60s. That's when I started working with Sarah. Hit 60 and go, oh no, I am not carrying this story, this body disconnection into this most beautiful decade of my life. And that's why I work with Sarah personally over the last couple of years, because it was that one last aspect of myself that that wasn't fully healed. And my journey since working with you, my doctor was very happy yesterday at yesterday's appointment.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And when we first started working together, you mentioned that you had the disordered eating for 30 plus years and you were underweight. And then midlife happened. You had some other health challenges besides the stroke,
Yep.
and you started noticing, okay, weight is now creeping, and you didn't have that same mindset of I have
No.
to starve myself. You had thankfully gotten past that and released that, but you still weren't there as far as what I need to nourish myself. And so you were
I was
experiencing,
resisting. My body was
yeah.
resisting. I didn't have I loved myself. I love myself. And I think I loved my body, but if I truly did, like if you asked me back then, I'd say, of course I love my body. She's a babe. All my scars are goddess wounds. But the truth is, in our work together, I realized you can't say you love something if you're not nourishing it. It's just like a relationship, right? It So that's when I realized, there's some stuff here. Yeah, the number on the scale no longer bothers me. I'm cool with the number on the scale. Even I don't do the comparison most of the time of so I feel good about that. But yeah, that was an important part of understanding that you can't just say you love your body. Your body has to feel that you love it. And I do want to share one thing of how I know I've come the journey, even right before I met you for our private work together, is I had emergency surgery in 2021. And never once and this is how I knew my relationship with my body had already come to a great healing place, but now I had to heal the part regarding food. Is when I came out of that, without going into details, lots of big scars. And never once did I look at those scars, those wounds that saved my life, and judge my body for them, not once. I remember going, oh, baby, look at this goddess wound healing. Like I thanked my body that I was still here. And I can remember the epiphany of, oh my goodness, 25 years ago, I couldn't have said that to my body. And even my surgeon was like, you're healing so fast. I go, baby, I talked to these wounds, right? And so I knew I had done so much inner healing with loving my body, but that last aspect of nourishing my body, that's why I turned to Sarah. I'm like, okay, we got this. We're going to do this, and it's been life changing.
So, if you had one piece of advice for the women out here who are listening, who can relate with your story, who have a struggled relationship with food, with their bodies, and they're sort of on the verge of making a change, they don't really know exactly where to go or how to get started because there's a lot of confusion. We've had all these diets over the years and all this deprivation and starvation and punishing our bodies. So, if you could give us one piece of advice for shifting that and how to get started, what would you say?
Number one thing I'd say is don't do what I did. I would tell myself for 30 freaking years that I could do it myself. And for 30 years, I had the same struggle, same results, same everything. Reach out for support. I couldn't have done this without Sarah's help. I tried for 30 years. I couldn't move past those blocks, those stories, that journey with food. And so I will ask you this for those who are listening. If you know this truth, that if you keep doing what you've always done, as I did, you will keep getting what you've always got. What a gift you would give yourself to say, I'm done trying to do it on my own. I am worthy. This is the part for me that I had to get to before I started working with Sarah. And it was, I am worthy of support. Without our physical body being in its best health, I can't make the impact I want to make in the world, the connections with my family. So that is my number one thing. You are worthy of support. Reach out to Sarah, reach out to make changes in your life. Don't keep trying to push through. It's not working. Because if it was working, you could do it on your own, you wouldn't still be stuck, just like me. I finally hit that wall and said, you know what? Why am I not giving myself this gift? So I healed that old story. And now it's been life changing. And I got to be honest, because she changed my life so much, I'm always sending people to Sarah because it is not about restriction. It is not about dieting. And for someone that has my background, that was critical. That was critical. The one thing I just got to give this feedback to you that has really helped me with food is your one strategy that I know I invite you to talk about a lot, but it was life changing for me is it's not about restriction, Linda. It's about what you can add into your diet. I still remember the day she said that to me because we were taught restriction, right? Don't do this and give up that food group and all that. And then you feel like this all the time, like you're failing. And I still remember that when we were in a private session, she said those words to me. It was like angel harps and music went off. And I'm like, oh my God, that felt healing to me. That felt like a big yes to me because I have a history of restricting. The last thing I want is someone telling me what we can't have. And I just wanted to mirror that back to you, Sarah. I know I've said it personally, but I think that's a big, big thing. There's a lot of compassion, self-compassion, and how you guide your clients, but also compassion from you. You know, I see it within the group. Someone says, oh, I went to the birthday party and had a small slice of cake. And you were like, yeah, go girl. There's nothing on the table. And I think that woman was even shocked, like, oh my God, this isn't what I normally receive. It was beautiful. And I just wanted to mirror that back to you because that was a really important moment for me in our work together.
Thank you so, so much. I can't thank you enough for being on and for being so open and vulnerable and sharing your story. I know this is resonating with so many women that are listening. And if you are hearing this right now and you can really relate to this story and you are sick and tired of trying to do this on your own, I have a really amazing invitation for you. Enrollment is open right now for my 4-week live group coaching program called Menopause Metabolism Makeover. And this is perfect for you if you're in that midlife menopause and beyond stage and you're experiencing some changes in your weight, in your body. You're ready to make a change and make your second half so much better. You're sick of dieting. You're sick of all these fads. You just want to live healthy. You just want to be vibrant. You just want to feel good in your body. I invite you to check that out. We start March 11th, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes so that you can go and hear all about it. I want to thank Linda for being here and just helping helping women change their mindsets about themselves, their relationship with food, their relationship with their bodies, and all the amazing work that you do.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks for being such a blessing in my life too.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, everybody who's listening. It's such an honor to be a part of your journey to health, mind, body, and spirit. And I love being able to have guests on that can inspire you and help you figure out what your next step is. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being here. I'm honored that you've chosen to spend your time with me and allowed me to be part of your journey. In case you need to hear this, you are enough. You're smart enough. You're successful enough. You're beautiful enough. You're important enough. You are enough right now, just as you are. You were enough yesterday. You'll be enough tomorrow. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with the amazing women in your life who could use a little extra love and support. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.